Reactions have continued to trail the provision of the Lagos traffic law, which allows the state government to take over the vehicle of any person convicted for driving against traffic. Last week, officials of the Lagos State Task Force arrested some persons who drove against traffic, and they were promptly arraigned before Magistrate Amos Olajuwon of the State Special Offences Mobile Court. One person who pleaded guilty had his car forfeited to the government. In this next report, our judiciary correspondent, Shola Shuyele, who covered the mobile court proceedings, digs deeper into the provisions of the Lagos traffic law.
This is the premises of the Lagos Task Force, saddled with the enforcement of environmental and traffic laws. The mobile court is in session to determine the cases of persons who have been arrested for driving against traffic. At these proceedings, Channels Television witnessed the arraignment of 8 persons, 7 of whom pleaded not guilty. The court fixed their trial for December 7th, when the men of the task force are expected to present evidence against them. Of particular concern, however, is the one man who pleaded guilty. After reviewing his case, the magistrate pronounces that he is free to go, but his car will be forfeited to the state government. The man is unhappy and reluctant to speak on camera, but an officer of the task force says this is the law.
Section 7B of the road traffic law says when you drive, being the first offender, it attracts a 1-year imprisonment and forfeiture of the vehicle to the state. Driving against oncoming does not have any option, no option of fine.
The sentence has predictably generated some reactions. We spoke to a cross-section of motorists, passengers and commercial bus drivers to get the prevailing views.
One way now offends you.
Lagos is too busy. When you enter one way, you are putting other people's life in the risk.
Anybody that is coming may not even think there will be a vehicle that will be passing through the one way. So it's a proper thing for Lagos State to do that.
Well, I think they want people to do the right thing, so they should try to orientate them, not just be harsh.
What I think is that they shouldn't have forfeited the car permanently, maybe temporarily.
Even lawyers weighed in on the discussion.
The law might seem draconian, but if you look at it from the interest of the society, the larger society, the law is good for orderliness in society.
There are a lot of one-ways now that government has designated, but some people don't even see the signs until it's too late. In a situation like that, I think the government should be a bit more lenient. Maybe they should confiscate his driver's license, or maybe you can hold his car for about a month or 2.
The government has, however, insisted that the law is well thought out, and that's why those arrested get an opportunity to present their case to the magistrate, who weighs the reasons for contravening the law before pronouncing sentence. Shola Shuyele, Channels Television News.
Governor Willie Obiano appears to be stepping up his game and delivering on his promises to develop Anambra State. One of the areas he's focusing on is education, in terms of improving quality and infrastructure. At the commissioning of a 900-room hostel for students of his alma mater, Christ the King College, Onitsha, the governor reaffirmed his resolve to improve the lives of all indigents. It's a reunion of some sorts for the governor of Anambra State, Willie Obiano, as he felicitates with students of Christ the King College, Onitsha, and old boys of the school in a church service. It is also an event to inaugurate one of the latest projects of the governor since he began his 2nd term in office. This day will remain memorable to the students of the school as the governor interacts personally with them. He also stands as sole sponsor for the boys as they are administered the sacraments of confirmation by the Archbishop of Onitsha. Governor Willie Obiano, who is also an old boy of the school, belonging to the class of 1974, tells of the positive influence his time at the institution has had on his life and offers some words of advice to the young ones.
Most of the things you are going to learn here will carry you all your life. Because when you leave here and go to university, they will not teach you basic things. At the university, they don't teach anything. They teach you what you come to study. They won't teach you etiquette. They won't teach you courtesies. They won't teach you prayer and other disciplines you acquire here. and in the secondary school as a whole.
He asked teachers of the school and others in the state to remain dedicated to their duties in imparting knowledge to students, as through quality education, the government can guarantee a bright future for the younger generation.
All the teachers in Anambra will not be dedicated because they get their lot as and when due. You know? So you must show that dedication by ensuring that you go extra mile to teach the students.
The high point of the occasion is the commissioning of the 900-room capacity hostel built to solve the accommodation challenge of the school. The governor promises that this is one of many other developmental projects to be done across the state, with a plan to ensure that every school in Anambra is given priority in his administration's developmental drive. The Rural Agriculture Project Pt.3 has begun assessment of the various support facilities for internally displaced persons as a result of the Boko Haram crisis in northeast Nigeria. The National Desk Officer of the project, Ibrahim Alkali, on the assessment tour in Yobe State, says he is satisfied with the impact made from the amenities provided.
The Agriculture Project Pt.3 team visited several displaced communities across Yobe State to see for itself how the beneficiaries have used the support facilities given to individuals and communities. The various interventions are in the area of livestock and fishery production, irrigation farming, as well as grains processing. Others include construction of market stalls and toilets, access roads and culverts, among several others.
We are satisfied with the performances so far.
The National Desk Officer of the project expressed satisfaction with the performance of the beneficiaries and called on them to sustain the tempo.
This is a support that came out of the blues. So it is an opportunity, it is a rare opportunity for them to have that support. So I call on them to use that opportunity and make sure that they sustain it and make better life in living.
On the need to expand its support to other affected persons, the team leader calls on government and other donor partners to synergize their approach to reach out to others in need.
From all indication, people are in need of more support, and I am calling on other partners to synergize their approach in order to reach out to so many people that are affected by this insurgency.
Some of the beneficiaries indicated that it truly restored their means of livelihood.
We're indeed grateful for all these interventions because we were completely displaced and lack of where to begin our lives. I have been an irrigation farmer but lost all things to the insurgency. I am now a very happy person, courtesy of Pt.3.
The project had within the 2017 fiscal year helped over 5,320 vulnerable groups as well as internally displaced persons in Yobe State.
Business News is next. Here's Anne Wawodo.
You first. First Bank.
Thanks a lot, Amarachi. Fitch Ratings has assigned a final rating of B+ to Nigeria's $1.5 billion Eurobond, which will mature on November the 28th, 2027, and another $1.5 billion note that will be due on November the 28th, 2047. The expected rating is in line with Nigeria's long-term foreign currency issuer default rating of B, with a negative outlook. This replaces the B+ rating that Fitch earliest assigned on November the 15th this year. Nigeria's Minister of Finance, Mrs. Kemi Adeosun, says the federal government has recruited and trained 2,190 community tax officers under the Voluntary Assets and Income Declaration Scheme. According to her, out of 2,190 tax officers recruited and trained to raise awareness about the scheme, a total of 1,710 of them have already been deployed to 33 states across the country. Mrs. Adeosun also confirms that the Ministry of Finance has completed the review of tax profiles of companies that received major payments from the federal government within the last 5 years. Oil prices have fallen by more than $1 today on prospects of higher supply and uncertainty about Russia's plan to join an extending output cut. U.S. light crude ended today's session down 84 cents to $58.11 a barrel, while benchmark Brent crude oil also rose by 9 cents to $63.95 a barrel. That's after touching a session low of $62.70 a barrel. In the meantime, analysts at investment bank Barclays expect OPEC to keep output limits for another 6 or 9 months as prices could fall after OPEC's meeting later this week. And let's check out the Nigerian Stock Exchange. The local equities market has begun the week with sell-offs, with investors taking profit on gains recorded, especially on Friday. For details on today's transactions, let's join Chimezie Obiwago.
Hello and welcome to the Stock Market Report. After Friday's positive close, Nigeria equities market opens the final week of November negative, with the all-share index down by 0.31%. The banking sector was a major drag on the market as the index lost 0.56%. The market did quite some volume, 942.7 million shares traded, valued at 4.8 billion naira. Being a Monday, these transaction volume and value are quite remarkable. What became tantalizers were the major volume drivers. 800 million shares of Global Spectrum Energy, an oil services and logistics company, was listed at 5 naira per share, while the stock added 25 kobo to its share price at the close of trading. Now, despite the profit taking, analysts and traders believe market fundamentals remain strong and the week will be a good one. And that was the Stock Market Report. I'm Chimezie Obiwago.
Well, profit-taking is also felt across other major world markets around the world, with investors already looking forward to a Senate vote on tax reform that will happen later this week. Wall Street also managed some gains. Here are the closing numbers for today. And with those numbers, we end business news for tonight. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Anne Nwawadu. It's back to you, Amarachi.
You first. First Bank.
Thanks a lot, Anne. Still ahead of the news at 10. Reigning Africa's Women Player of the Year, Asisat Oshola, nominated for the CAF Africa Player of the Year Awards for the 3rd year in a row. Stay with us.